Hey everyone, this is the first of a few videos about JavaScript array methods, and the first one we're going to be looking at today is map. So map is an array method that will allow you to loop over every element in an array and modify or return a different element to take that element's place. So in this example, we have some people and their characters from the show Parks and Recreation. And what we want to do is we want to loop over each one of these and add to this object that we have for each item their full name, their combined name of their first and last. So what we're going to do is we're going to jump over here, and you can see we've got this people variable, which is an array, and we're just going to type .map. Map is a method that lives on the array prototype. So any array that you have, you can call .map directly on. How map works is it takes a function. So we're going to pass in a function here, anonymous function. And then that function, which we pass in, accepts 3 arguments. The first one is the current value. The second one is the index. And the third one is the original array we're iterating on. So we're not going to use this all people argument. So we're going to go ahead and get rid of that. And then as far as naming goes, I generally like to name this first argument the current value. So that would be while it's looping over, while map is iterating over all of our values, it's going to call this function for each item. So it's going to call it with this item, then it's going to call it with this item. So the current value will be this object right here that we've got. So I generally like to, for naming, I like to name it a singular version of the name of what we're looping over. So we're looping over people, and so this is going to be a person, right? Okay, so then we're going to go into this function and open that up, and you can kind of see Chrome's giving us some hints down here, right? It said, if you call this .map, it's going to return an array with 5 undefineds. That's because we haven't returned anything from this function. So the way that map works is it calls the function on each item in the array, and then whatever you return in that function becomes that item's value. So we could just return the person, and then we get back the exact same thing that we had before, or we could just return, a string with maybe an emoji inside of it, and then that would make each item into an apple. So whatever we return here is what's going to be the value in the new array that we're creating. So let's go ahead and return an object, and we'll come down here, and then we're going to add full name, and then we're just going to concatenate the first name, or just first and last, and join those together in a string. And then we're going to just, spread out using the spread operator, the rest of the stuff that's already in this object, which we have. So it's going to be full name, first and last. So we're not getting rid of anything. We're just adding this new property. And if we run that, let's see, first is not defined. Okay, we need to do person.first because it's right there. It's part of this value here that we have, this object that we're iterating over. Okay, and then if we open this up and look, we have our first name, which was already there, our last name, which was already there, and this new full name property. So that's pretty much how map works for you. One nice thing that you can do to kind of clean up the syntax is you can turn this into an arrow function. So we can, instead of typing out the full function, we can just wrap these in parentheses and then use this arrow. And then, we can even simplify that more. If we don't have the index, we can drop that down to just one argument, get rid of the parentheses. That's still got the same thing, and say it was like a very simple transformation. Say we just wanted to return the full name and we didn't want to return an object at all. We could remove all of that and just return this string, and then it would turn an array of strings. So you don't have to return the same type that was there. The only kind of thing that you need to know when thinking, should I use map, is are you going to have at the end of the transformation the exact same amount of elements in that array as the beginning? If you are, map is often going to be a good option. If you need to do some sort of transform like we're doing here, or add something to your data, map is going to be your best bet. The last thing you need to know about map is that when you call it, it will never mutate your data. It will always return a new array. So for example, if we run this, which we just had, we're now running map on the array of people that we have, and then we're storing that in this names value, right? So if we run that and then we console log out names, but we also console log out people, our original array, you'll see that names is exactly what we expect it to be, but the people array has not changed. This is a really awesome feature about map and a bunch of the other array methods introduced in ES6, like filter and reduce, is that they'll never change your data. So you can be confident that you can keep your original data and then just transform it one step at a time and store that in new variables.